Hi everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Devana for Mommy Made Knits, and I am excited to share my projects with you guys this week. I feel like I have some really fun stuff going on, so if that sounds interesting to you guys, stick around. Maybe grab you something to drink or something to work on, because I feel like I have several. I did write down my notes. Hopefully I'm less scattered today than I was last week, but yeah, that's not likely, so good luck. All right, I'm gonna dive right in. I wanna show two projects that I finished. One, I guess I did finish since the last podcast, and I didn't think I was gonna show them, but I did just wash these. They are still wet, but I finished my husband's socks. I was very close to finishing them last week, so I did finish them pretty soon after the video. He has wore them. He says he loves them. He loves how they fit. Sorry for thumping the camera. But yes, and I do have more of this yarn. This is Knit Picks. I think it's Stroll DK. No, it's Hawthorne DK, I think. In the North Star Kettle colorway, I'm pretty sure. I didn't put these on my notes because I wasn't planning on showing them, but I did have to grab something else off of the blocking boards, and these were laying there, and I was like, oh, I can show these. You know what else I can show? That I don't think have ever been on here, even though I have worn them several times. I did show them when they were a work in progress, but my Potions and Pearls, I don't remember. It was like Mystic something, I think was the colorway. But this was my first pair of the Vanilla is the New Black color pattern by Anna Fletcher, and I love these. I've wore them and washed them quite a few times since I've made them, which I was gone for a week not long after I made them too, so I didn't wear them that week. I didn't wear any hand knitted socks while I was in Florida. Those have to be laid back out. They are both a little bit wet. I did wear them, so if they look worn, they were worn. But I am loving that hill. Like, I am really enjoying it. Now, I still like the Fish Lips Kiss Hill. I mean, I have several pairs of the Fish Lips Kiss Hill, and I'm wearing a pair right now. But there is something really nice about the Vanilla is the New Black fit for myself. I am really enjoying that. Now, my other two that I was planning on talking about today are, I finished the baby jacket, which I might have mismeasured the arm. I thought I was at where I should stop, and no, I am not drying this on the hanger. I know that that can stretch it out, but I did put it on a hanger because I kept trying to figure out how I was going to show this off, and I feel like this was the best way. Now, the sleeves are the same size. They're just hanging on the hanger funny, but this one is still drying as well, and I still have to add the buttons on. I did pick up a pack of buttons. I don't know if I love them, but I do love the jacket. Honestly, looking at it now, I kind of wish I had left the buttonholes off. I even thought about kind of just ignoring them because they're not super, I know I just keep flipping it around, but I'm like, I love this so much. They're not super duper visible. I don't even know if that is showing. They are there. But I do think I will add the buttons, or at least I will try. It looks pretty big. It is the 6 to 12 month size. I hope it's not too big. It did grow with blocking, but I mean, I used the exact yarn that they said in the pattern. So I hope that she loves it. I hope that it fits. I mean, if it doesn't fit for her first winter, hopefully it fits for her second, or it will fit like after Christmas. You know, she's a June baby. It's 6 to 12 month size. So I felt like that was a pretty good size, I'm hoping. I have told the grandma about it, and she's very excited. And she's like, I'm so glad you did a bigger size, because so many people will make, you know, or not make, but buy like 0 to 3 and newborn and stuff. And I was like, well, it's a jacket, so I wanted to make sure it was for winter. The next finished object, I guess, does need one more thing. It does need the end woven. I forgot to weave the end in, but guys, I finished my pillow cover, and I have loved this so much. This brought me so much joy, like a ridiculous amount of joy for the fact that it's just using squares. My daughter's hair got on it. I know it's not mine because it's straight. But my little scrappy pillow, I do think one of my sides, like, I don't know if I got a little bit better at joining, but one of my sides does look better than the other. So I didn't say about this one. I am so sorry. This is the Tiered Baby and Toddler Coat and Jacket. That is what the pattern is called. It's by Lisa Chimery. I use Knit Picks Swish Bulky in the colorway Blossom Heather, and I use the recommended size needles for everything. So yes, and I am going to try to link it down below. I do not have a project page, so I am just going to link. I'm not very good at that. I have tried. I love the idea of it. I always was like, you know, I love like when, you know, technology was first, like the first iPad, the first iPhone, those things were coming out and like learning about them and everything. I was a computer person. And then somewhere along the line, I'm like, I like pencil and paper. I like scrapbooks. So I'm not very good at project pages, like putting them in there, but I will try to link to the actual pattern project page for that. And then this one, I followed the Scrappy Granny by Knitty Natty. This is all fingering weight. She does seven rounds for these. And then I did the Join As You Go. I followed that video. It is on YouTube. It's by Hooked by Robin, which Knitty Natty has a project page for Scrappy Granny squares, as well as a video. I followed the video to learn how to make granny squares whenever I first needed to learn how to make them. And I followed hers exactly for the Scrappy Granny. The biggest difference is not all of mine are just one yarn. Some of mine have, like this one has 3 different yarns. This one has 2. This one has 2 different ones. A lot of them have 2. And I followed the Join As You Go. And then whenever I was seaming up the last of it, I just folded it over around the pillow to make sure everything would fit. And then I seamed up the side, and then I actually shoved the pillow in and seamed it all the way up. I'm not sure what I'm gonna need to do, like what I'm gonna do whenever it needs washed one day. Because and that's why I also haven't wove this in, because I am trying to decide, that's another reason I haven't woven in. I am trying to decide if I should do something different for the final like closure so that I can pull this off and wash it easier. It is going to stay in my craft room on my rocking chair in there as just a lumbar pillow. I always need a little bit of extra lumbar support. So yeah, I'm not totally sure, but my scrappy pillow is done and I just love it. I love doing that. I love that it was a pretty quick project. I love how it turned out. It's so funny because my kids like to analyze each square. So my daughter has told me the squares that she likes and the squares that she doesn't like. I think my son had a favorite square. He's less like concerned, but he'll come over when we're discussing it. So from there, that's all that I finished this week, which I still feel like is pretty good. Like I got a couple things done. And after that, works in progress. So I will head back to socks. So I did not work on either one of my sweaters that are currently on the needles or anything like that. Those things I was waiting for this to get done, which I did finish on Wednesday, and I have done a lot of crochet. So I did work on this and stuff. I will show you in a minute. Next, I'm going to talk about more socks. So I finished one of my socks. It was kind of sad because I think I was to the toe, or pretty much to the toe, and this just went in hibernation for a couple weeks after my trip. But I did start this one. I started it, I did about like this, which this is my second sock, and before we left for our trip, and then I got partway through the foot. The only times I worked on it pretty much were on the airplane, and then I just put it down. I'm not sure why, because now I'm loving it. So hopefully the other one will be done soon so that I can wear them as a pair. This is the Carousel of Progress by Fangirl Fibers. This was last month's subscription for the Disney Attractions Subscription Club. And I was so happy that I cast on, like, you know, within the month of getting it. But I am a little sad that I didn't finish it before the next one came in, which I will show in a bit. That is also the Vanilla is the New Black. One of the biggest things I did different, and I'm sorry, I put it away before I was done talking about it. One of the things I really wanted to try, because I do a Fish Lips Kiss Hill, and you have to have that inch of stockinette before you start it. I never feel like I have shorty socks, and I don't think that they're comfortable. Like the ones that I have tried to make as short as I could, I don't feel like they're very comfortable. Now, of course, I haven't wore this one, but I did put it on after I finished it last night and wore it for a little bit, just sitting in my chair, and I did like the fit of it. What I did was 15 rounds for the cuff. I did 5 rows of stockinette. I don't think you have to have the 5 rows of stockinette. Like, I think that you can jump straight into the hill, but I did do 5 rows of stockinette, and then I started the hill pattern. And yeah, that finished off the leg. That's the thing I think I'm most fascinated by, because I think the Fish Lips Kiss Hill, if I sit and just do it, which it's so rare that I don't get interrupted every little tiny bit of anything that I'm doing by one or both my kids or my husband or just my brain telling me to go do something else. It's very rare for me to sit and actually just knit a hill. But I think I can do a hill in about an hour. And this does take longer, but you're also knitting the leg and then I think even like a bit of the foot. So whenever I do a Fish Lips Kiss Hill, once I'm done with the hill, I knit 60 rows before I do the toe. This I do 48. So yeah, I'm like, it's hard to judge because I'm like the hill is including the leg and part of the foot or something. So yeah, I don't know. And then I just did a rounded toe like Kay does in all of her patterns. So I think the pattern I first followed for it was Follow Your Path. Because that's the only, I bought several of her patterns, but so far I've only actually made one. But I did really like it. So yes, and that is also in a bag that I made myself. It's my Cinderella bag. You'll probably see this a lot. I may not always talk about it just because probably whenever this is done, the next Disney yarn will go in it as well, because this is one of my favorite bags. Then next, my sun sock. I was hoping to get one of those done as well. I almost accomplished it. This one is actually the one I worked on the most whenever I needed some sock knitting after I finished my husband's. And I think I'm almost to the toe. I am trying to make these smaller than the pair that I made him last because I was looking at him on, and I'm hoping that this heel fits him a little bit better as well, because of all of us, I feel like the Fish Lips Kiss Hill is fitting him the worst. Like, because I've heard other people say like, oh, they can't use it. And I feel like it fits me pretty well. I've just enjoyed doing, get off of there. I've just enjoyed doing this hill, and then I did really like the fit of it. But I was looking at his socks and he's always pulling and tugging on them to try to fix them, or he's got like a big chunk in the front, like kind of flopping. Both my kids do like their socks to be a little bit big, but I feel like they've been really big. So I'm hoping that this one fits him a little bit better. He picked out the yarn. This is Potions and Pearls. I'm pretty sure it's Fall Romance. The mini that came with it the last little bit of it I had may have went into, nope, I didn't even have enough to go into the blanket. So it might be here. This is what I had left. And it didn't even complete the squares. So that means I think I had less than, it's like 8 or 10 grams of that yarn left. So the contrast cuff and toe are Fangirl Fibers Phantom Manor, which so far I have not turned into a pair of socks on their own for like myself. Almost all the Disney yarn gets to be a pair of socks for me. But Phantom Manor has been, I think, an accent in his Christmas socks, the full pair of socks for my great nephew. And then now it's an accent in this. And I feel like there was even one other thing I might have put it in, but yeah, it's been a very useful tonal. So yeah, I don't remember what else. It is also Vanilla is the New Black. I basically made it the same way. I did buy so I have the regular pattern, and I also bought the DK and Sport Weight pattern to get the numbers for smaller sizes, and also for my husband's pair of socks, because I don't think I said, but they were also Vanilla is the New Black. I will probably have to say that a lot because that's becoming my default heel. I kind of want to do another Fish Lips Kiss heel just to do one, but I am enjoying this a lot. I did the same thing, 15 rows, 5 rows, started the hill. I am only doing 40. Sorry if that's been really loud. I apologize. It's been such a weird morning. I will say that. Like, I'm like, this is the morning I'm going to try to get my podcast. I could not find my podcast notebook. I hit my head on my stand. I keep dropping stuff. There was something else I like laid down, walked away, and it ran away. And yeah, so I'm like, if I seem a little off this morning, apparently I am. But I am going to try 40 rows. So I'm about there. I think I am there. So I'm going to start the toe. I forgot to weave in my new collar, which is what I normally do. But yeah, I'm at 40. I do want to try on my next pair that I do contrasting collars. I want to try doing a contrast heel turn and see how I like that. Because that's one of the things. I do really like a contrast heel. And I haven't tried doing it with the heel flap, which is the only way you could really do it, I think. Well, better knitters could probably figure out different ways to do it. But those were my knitting projects. Like, I really got into a big crochet kick. So one of the things I forgot to write down was I did want to talk about this. I'm not going to bring this blanket out like every week on the podcast, but it has been since possibly the first podcast, I think, since I have talked about it. First or second, maybe. So I have a marker. And it's, of course, on the inside of how I folded it up. But this was marking since my last podcast, which it feels like more work than it looks like. But I did do all of these since the last podcast. The interesting thing is, so like I did get this pair put into the blanket. That's actually pretty much all of the yarn. I think there was a little bit of this color left, but not much. Because I did make a pair for my preacher's wife as well. So that yarn's gone, which I actually have been loving. This yarn, I had made stripy socks, and of the stripes, I don't think I have any left of those, but I did have one mini left. So that is like representing the socks in my blanket. But it is getting a pretty good size. I would say it's possibly halfway or getting close to being halfway. But this is my last color that I have to put into this blanket. So I like to mostly just use, other than my Advent yarn, I've only used yarns that I made something with. Like, I don't just buy minis and put into the blanket. Not that there would be anything wrong with that, but my brain's like, just make it a memory blanket. But I did decide that the Advent minis should go into the blanket because it was the first year that I did an Advent, which I just did mystery. Like, I bought several like packs of mystery minis and then had my sister put them together for me. So that got a good bit of work. And I also forgot to bring over, I think, I have one finished. I'll just show that one. But I have been working on more Scrappy Grannies. I am going to do them this size. So this was just another leftover from my Advent after it went into that blanket. And this time I'm going to do 5 rounds. It makes about a 3-inch granny square, but I'm really enjoying using up those like tiny little bits of leftovers, which I did run out and had to use another yarn for the last little bit. But most of the time it's getting me, like, I'm able to have enough and not much left over. I think that's what I'm trying to say. I haven't weighed it. I've just been winging it. That is my, I think, 7th square, and I'm working on number 8. Or that's my 8th square, and I'm working on number 9. One of those. So I just started it. It's a little baby square. But what I am doing is, I had a friend that I made in the Crazy Slack Lady group, and we did a scrappy exchange. So we both put them in little baggies, we wound them up for each other and labeled them. So these have been so much fun. I'm trying to just stick to one a day. I'm running low because I think I've already opened 5 or 6. 3 of them are Disney themed. So this one is one of them. It's Hocus Pocus themed, which I've never seen. I'm a huge Disney fan. I'm wearing my Disney Spirit jersey. It's very, very cold today. So I did wear my nice fluffy sweater, but huge Disney fan. But I've never watched Hocus Pocus, but it will go into my Disney blanket. I'm just trying to decide. So I started a Cozy Memories. That's the right one, right? It's the miter squared scrappy blanket. I started one of those. One of my squares went off the wrong direction because I didn't really know what I was doing. But I only have 4 squares done. And I've been on such a big crochet kick that I'm like, well, do I want to make granny squares instead? One reason is because we did 10-gram minis. I haven't opened this one yet, or I'd show it to you. We did 10-gram minis as our swap, and I think I can get 2 squares out of them. And I like the idea of just making the squares and then they're ready to go whenever I'm ready to do the join as you go blanket method. Whereas I did the 4 squares and I have some yarn left over, but I'm like, I want more space between, I'm not gonna just that same color attach it again. So that's one of the reasons I want to do a granny square. But I'm also like, what if I get sick of doing granny squares? I don't know if I will, because right now I'm in such a big kick. So I will probably open up the Disney yarn and put it in. I have a bucket where I have all my Disney scraps and basically decide later. Because I figured if I do most of these, I have some scraps in this. I got this bag whenever I went to Epcot in the Germany pavilion. I'm not going to try to say it. I do well to pronounce things in English sometimes. I can do sign language pretty well. I do have a degree in deaf studies and I learned a lot of sign for that. I am not fluent. I'm almost conversational, but not quite. I'm pretty rusty now. But yeah, I don't do well. I'm not even going to try because I'll embarrass myself. But anyway, I have this little bag and I just have several little scraps in here with a tapestry needle, a pair of scissors, and my crochet hook. And that way I can just grab it and have a little crochet project on the go for me whenever I want. And I'm working through my scraps and actually anything. So I have a basket in my yarn room, which is my knitting and sewing room. Knitting, crochet, sewing, a little bit of Legos, all the things, room. And I have a basket that I had all my scraps kind of thrown into. And I pulled out everything that was under 20 grams. And threw it into a basket. And really, I don't know, at the rate I'm going, I might be able to actually get through that in the next month or so. I mean, I don't have unlimited knitting and crochet time. And sometimes I go through phases where I'm like, all I want to work on are socks. And I'm like with my stripe blanket, I'm like, wow, I need to start finishing things because I need more scraps to go in my blanket. I've actually been working on that. This, I've also followed what Nitty Natty did for hers. So if you're interested, I basically followed all of her numbers. This is triple crochet, granny clusters. She followed Lucy in the Attic. And then there's numbers or something like that. I'm sorry, I didn't look that up because I've been working on this so long, I didn't even think about it. So I'm sorry, but I did follow Nitty Natty's numbers for the fingering weight version. I have one more project to talk about. Hey, I think I did pretty good because it's been less than 30 minutes. We'll see how much I talk after this. So I have one more project. This project, I bet I didn't say, I've showed this several times. This is just a bag. It's a very nice bag from a Stitchy Girl Studio. When it was sent to me, it was not wrinkly, but I have since washed it and I didn't iron the bag. It gets thrown in my purse so much that I didn't worry about it. But this next project is in a bag. This was in hibernation for quite some time. If you can't tell, because it's in a fall themed bag. It's a very cute bag. This one was made by Tater Tot Makes. It's just such a cute little, let's see if I can show it. This is so cute. I would like to get some little tags or something that says handmade by me or something like that for my bags, but I'm also like, they're just my bags, so I don't sell them or anything. So this project I was working on, and I put it down months ago. I don't even remember when. It was longer than this. I decided to unravel it. I could not for the life of me figure out where I was at. Like, the best thing would be to print out every pattern, put it in a project bag, mark off where you're at. So whenever you go to pick it up, I was in the middle of a row and I'm like, I cannot tell what row I was supposed to be on. So I tried to unravel it and it was such a pain to unravel. This is the Ember Shawl by Expression Fiber Arts. I bought the yarn from them and everything. It is the Amal fingering yarn. I could not find the labels, but I did, and I don't think they sell it anymore. But I found it on Ravelry. It's 60% alpaca, 20% silk, and 20% linen. I don't know which one of those fibers makes this such a pain to unravel, but one of them did. And I ended up ripping the yarn, trying to unravel it, because I thought I'll just start at the beginning. It wasn't tons longer than it is now, but I decided to start again. This yarn has been, I need to put each of the yarn cakes into yarn cozies because they will not stop tangling up. Like normally I feel like I can just kind of have them be in there, but I'm almost back to the place that I was whenever my yarn got stuck. But I did realize I've done a couple rows wrong. So I was trying to follow the chart this time instead of the written patterns. And now I'm trying to decide, do I want to go back? And I'm thinking no. So what I did was some of these rows should have been half double crochets. And I did double crochets because apparently I can't. I'm not as good of a crocheter as I am a knitter. And I wouldn't even say like I'm a fantastic knitter. I normally can figure it out with knitting, I think easier than I can crochet. So I am trying to do this row correctly. This one is supposed to be half doubles. I have the pattern on my iPad and I've been marking off on the chart each row so that I know what row that I'm on. Looking at it, I'm either on single crochet, but I'm also like, it's not shaped quite right. Like it shouldn't be up higher here, I don't think. Like this one, I mean, it obviously it goes up some, but it's not as big. So I don't know. I don't know if I should try to unravel it. It was such a pain to unravel. Because it just kept clinging to itself. Like it was like it had been glued together. I don't know if I should just keep going and hope it will even out, if I should undo it and try again, or if I should undo it and try a different pattern. But I have never made a shawl and I kind of wanted to, and I was thinking this could be a cool spring shawl. I don't know, but I thought I do want to bring this project out. I want it to not just this really nice yarn, or at least yarn that I paid a lot of money for. Still undecided on if I like it or not. Sitting in here, I have 3 yarn cakes. So I have the light, see, and like I said, this one keeps unraveling, and then dark. So it should do a fade. It looks beautiful on the lady that does the patterns. I don't know her name, I'm sorry. But it has just, I don't know. It's not brought me as much joy. I was thinking, I'm like, I'm enjoying these granny squares so much. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm enjoying it because it's crochet. So therefore it's a little bit different than the things I have been doing, like a lot of socks. Or if I'm liking it just because it's so quick to finish. Like it's been really nice having something I'm like done, you know, after 30 minutes or so. Because I'm kind of a slow crocheter. I think fast crocheters could probably finish this in 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes or something. I'm like, I'm slow. And it's rare for me to sit and just finish a square, but I have been able to. So that's why I'm like, I possibly have just been enjoying it for that reason. I'm using a Furls hook. It's a G, which is what the pattern calls for. I love these. I only have I have two, I think, of the Streamline Metal, I think is what it's called. They're definitely my favorite. I do use a Odyssey hook, which I think they have quit making, or they're making them differently now or something. I'm not sure. For my granny squares and my granny stripe blanket, but sometimes I use a Clover Amour hook. So, and really, I like both of them. I do like my frills a little bit better, but sometimes I want that lightweight of the Clover Amour. So, but I really like this. I really like this. I really want to like this project, but I'm just not sure. I'm not sure about it. I need to do a couple rows on it today and see how I feel. But that is all the projects that I have worked on this week. I think. I'm trying to think. Yes, because I did put my sweater away and I basically told myself I'm not going to touch it until the baby jacket's done. I thought about doing a video of like spring knitting plans, but honestly, my spring knitting plans are finish or, you know, get a lot of progress done on the things that I have started, because I go through spells where I have a lot of projects on the needles and on the hooks. And then sometimes I like just having like a big project, a pair of socks. And then I always have like my granny stripe blanket if I want some crochet time. Can I get you to cooperate? And let's just lay you up there like that. There we go. I can't wait for that to be done because I think it's gonna be such a cuddly blanket and it's so fun to look at it. And I started, at one point in time, this was in order. So it was my very first pair of socks that I made whenever I started knitting again, sometime around July or August 2022. And then this was the next pair of socks I made and so on, but that's gone way different now. I did have the prismatic tee. I thought about putting the yarn from that in the blanket. It doesn't have any nylon in it, which would be a first. But I am thinking I want to make a matching one for my daughter, and I don't want to run out of yarn because I put the yarn in the blanket. So I think I'm going to try to make that sweater and then see how much I have left. So I can hear my kids. I said, please be quiet and let mommy do a video. So I'm almost done. I want to show one more thing, and hopefully I can before my kids try to come out and interrupt. Oh, I meant to do a spoiler warning first. I'm so sorry. So this is the new from Fangirl Fiber. I'm sorry if you saw a sneak peek, but if you don't want to see any more, skip ahead a couple minutes or you can leave. I don't think I had a lot of life stuff. I have a little bit of life stuff, I guess, but not much. So anyway, just skip ahead a couple minutes if you don't want to see it. I'm going to give you a chance to do that. And okay, this is the new Fangirl Fiber. This is the only yarn that's actually made it to me. So I have, no, I'm sorry. I also did receive my swap package. I am trying to keep some of those a secret. Some of them are already granny secret to myself. Not from you guys, just from myself. But I might show all the squares whenever I'm done. I did take pictures. I should post those on my Instagram. But yeah, this is this month's Fangirl Fibers. It is Star Tours. I really like this. I do think I will cast it on next. I'm not going to show it again. I wish it had a little more speckles. That's probably my only thing because I like the purples and the blues that are in it. So that one made it to me. My scrap yarn made it to me. I have a mini scheme. I did that last time I tried to say it. I said, I'm not great at speaking English. Mini skein swap that should have gotten here Thursday and did not. Now it is supposed to be out for delivery today. It did take a little detour around Ohio, I think. I also have yarn coming from We Crochet. It's just 2 skeins of Bear Stroll. I can't remember what they call it, but it is the one with Stellina in it that I want to use to join my granny squares together. My plan is to connect 9 and like fully finish that square off and put it aside. That way I always have like a portable crochet project, something easy on my lap, because I might not want to work on this this summer because it is big enough now. It does cover not completely cover my legs. Like as I'm working on it here, it does go past my knees. So of course it's just gonna keep getting longer and longer, heavier and hotter. So this might have to go into hibernation a little bit until the fall. So yeah. Anyway, I had the thought though, I would like to connect like 9 of these little mini squares together and then just put those aside until I'm all the way done, get another collar and connect those together. And my hope is that it looks quilty whenever it's all done. Kind of the same for the Disney. If I decide to do the Disney yarn the same way, that's kind of would be my plan. So I'd be working on the same blankets. I know there's like Jelly Roll blankets, there's the Cozy Memory blankets. Every time I start one of those, I do end up pulling them out. Like, well, not the Coziest Memories, but the Jelly Roll. I've tried to start a few different, I tried to start a fingering weight, I tried to start a DK weight, and both of them ended up getting pulled out. And I don't know why. I enjoy plain knitting, but there was something about those I didn't enjoy. So I feel kind of bad because they're lovely patterns. I mean, don't take my word. Lots of people love them. I do think whenever it comes to scraps, I enjoy crocheting them. I don't know. But yeah. So life stuff. What did we do this week? Nothing big. We did have some really bad weather come through Tuesday. When did the weather come through? Tuesday, because I went to a friend's house on Wednesday. That's where I actually finished my the baby jacket. So Tuesday we had some really rough weather come through. We had a lot of tornado warnings, and then we did have a watch. Is the watch the worst one? Whichever one's the worst one. It was pretty close. It was trying to, I don't think it ever ended up actually forming, but they did see the start of like the funnel or something. As far as I've heard, all of the damage is further south from myself, but I did go sit in the hallway for a while because I do have large windows in my living room. So I thought, just in case I'm gonna go sit in the hallway. So yeah, we did have some rough weather. I don't know if that's what's delayed some of my yarn, but like this yarn made it to me. I've had other packages come, but yeah, 2 of my yarn packages. So I would have had more yarn to show, but I don't. And I will probably start to work with those because I do want to make more granny squares and stuff with them. So yeah, whenever you see them, they might be caked up, but that should be okay. The stroll is just bare yarn with a little bit of stellina in it. So yeah, I'm trying to think. That's about it. Pretty boring. I normally try to say this at the beginning. I am a stay-at-home homeschooling mom. So that's why my kids are somewhere normally if they're not visiting a grandma. So they are in the back room playing quietly and being very good. So have to praise them. Their grandma sent them home with cake, so they might need a slice of cake. They did good. They are both 8 years old, so I mean, they know to, it's not like they're infants back there or anything like that. But yeah, so I think that's it for me today. Thank you so much for watching. I am enjoying this. I'm trying to not let the whole YouTube thing like get to me. Like I don't want to be somebody who's like chasing views or anything like that or chasing subscribers, like I would love it if you subscribed. I'd love it if you like it. Leave me a comment. I want to start really engaging with, I guess, the whole YouTube community. But at the same time, I'm not gonna let myself worry about it. My last video did not do well at all. So I am hoping I get more views on this one, but we'll see. Thanks, everybody.